What's up, everybody? Welcome to Form Review Fridays with your boy Isaac Punts. Form Review Fridays, I take a look at your guys' form, tell you what I think about it, some things you should change. Pretty simple. If you want to be a part of Form Review Fridays, follow my Twitter at Isaac Punts. Every Thursday, I put out a tweet saying to drop your film, and then I react to 5 people's tweets with their film in it. So this week we have a pretty common theme, which is walking. Is it impossible to walk in a straight line and punt? Dadgummit, it feels like it sometimes. If you ever punted a ball, you feel like, why can't I just walk? I want to walk straight and punt, and then I want to swing my leg straight. It seems pretty straightforward, no pun intended, but a lot of guys have a problem with it. So today we're going to just hop straight into that specifically, starting with the first guy, Carson Blatchford. He's been punting for about 2 years. Problems with stepping straight and cutting across the ball. For those of you who don't know, he is not taking a pair of scissors, snipping it across the ball, but slicing his leg beneath it. So let's just take a look at this real quick. First things first, okay? Number one thing for you, Carson, just taking a quick peek at this real quick, is your stance is awfully wide here. That's immediately what jumps into my head. As you kind of go through it, it's hard to maintain your balance. You see, when your stance is this wide, your center of gravity kind of cuts straight down through this line, right? Naturally, it's going to be between our feet. So as we take our first step, we kind of have to rock to one side. If you watch his shoulders, as he goes to set the ball, he'll kind of rock and sway just a very, very subtle, very little bit, but it's enough that it can kind of throw you off balance. And then with that, boom, first step here, pulls you out to the right just a little bit. And the next thing you know, we're not walking straight anymore. So easy to get off task, off track from where we're going. Now, I'm not sure, he might be trying to go a subtle directional right. His feet are telling me he's trying to go straight. Camera angle tells me, if I'm expecting him to kick a ball, I expect him to walk directly through this and the ball to be going up this way, kind of towards that little cloud right there. And as we see, right foot goes a little bit right, comes back around. His hips, his body language, just from this spot, tells us this ball should be going this way, right? And then last but not least, comes back across, ball ends up going pretty much straight. So it's a really hard thing to break because it looks good. Everything looks like you did it the right way. And then you go back and watch the film and you see that you're walking straight. I would say narrow up your feet a little bit. Sounds dumb. I think it can be that simple. And if you even want to get a little bit more over the ball through this first step, see how you're kind of staying a little tall here, chest up. Harder to follow a straight line. If you let your momentum take you through this first step, kind of bring your shoulders a little bit more over it. I'll do a quick little example here. But through your first step, you want to be like here a little bit more, right? Right here, you're like this. So we're not like leading with our momentum. Try to get a little bit more over it so you'll fall through your steps. Boom, there you go. Advice a little bit right there. Give that a shot. Narrow up your feet. Tell me how that works out for you. And use your shoulders to guide your direction a little bit more. Next, okay, Christopher de Gruta. I don't know if that's how you pronounce your last name, but I sure hope so, because that would be a fun way to pronounce that. So he kicked field goals up and only picked up punting in February. Biggest issue was keeping steps compact and not swinging as straight as I want to. Yeah, I watched this earlier. You've got quite the field goal kicker's swing, right? Like right here, boom. This is like field goal swing 101, Beautiful little side crunch, coming around the ball. So the big thing here is you appear to be a right hip flex or punter. In other words, you are using like your right leg and a torquing motion, not twerking. That's a different video for a different time, but a torquing motion, right? You're trying to like close your hips to this ball. Punting is a lot more linear, right? I think if you really want to take punting to the next level, if you want to take it seriously and not just have it as like a cool little trick in the bag. First of all, this ball looks mashed. Anyway, that's aside the point. Good punt. The big thing is like, you don't want to lunge into your steps. I would just start off with doing like walking steps, right? You're trying to get the most out of your swing. I respect that. Like I said, you crushed this ball, but start off with just taking some slower steps. Learn on how to get this a more linear straight up and down swing. It's going to pay dividends in the long run. And I know it kind of sounds dumb, but doing, let me find this drill. Here it is. Finally. Okay, I'm gonna bookmark this. Okay, there you go. So you can use a drill similar to this, right? You don't have to do it like with him holding the ball down, but just practice. Like, he's literally just walking. He's just walking and punting, you know? And then he's just focusing on like just this sort of movement right here. And this is a good thing to do, like good thing to think about and look at is watch how he just plants. Shoulders are still relatively down. And he just rotates up around his hips, right? So right now you're planting here and rotating your hips sort of to your left, like you're kicking a field goal or a kickoff, and you're kind of like crunching down to do that. Hey, Tommy Townsend, by the way, in case you didn't know who this was, Tommy Townsend just steps, keeps his shoulders up, and then just pulls his hips up through the ball, right? So instead of planting and trying to pull his hips to the right, he pulls his hips up and just swings straight up through that ball. That is gorgeous. I could watch this all day. Anyway, so that's what I think you could digest that a little bit, slow it down, right? If you're trying to master this part of your craft, it's a very interesting part to do. And then also on top of that, you know, you kind of have this little bit of an arc right here. So you plant, your right foot keeps your hips going this direction, right, with your right foot step. Then as you're opening your hips up, it's like you're pulling them around. So this is just very, very field goal-y, kickoff-y-esque. I'd say good drill to work on, like a walking step drill, and then just hop on a line. That'll help you really see where your steps are going. You just want to focus on stepping straight down that line. Make sure that not only are you stepping straight, but your feet are also straight. So your left foot should plant pretty much parallel to that line. So if you can like see here on this one, your left foot, if you're aiming this way, or you're probably trying to go middle, you know, but even then, your left foot is going to plant. Whoa, look at where we're going, you know? And then that's why, foop, now where everything's going over here, we're hitting the ball on the cross section. I mean, you can hit a good ball doing this. In fact, this form is how I'd hit a hook punt, you know, which is where I'm trying to put the ball over here, though. A legitimate style of punting is just not going to be as consistent in the long run. There you go. Let's hop over to Elliot Ataya. You guys are testing me on these names today. DeGroot, Blatchford, Ataya. I've got some more guys too. Okay, anyway. Elliot Ataya, he's been punting for 8 years. He's falling to his left when he's coming down, and needs to focus on coming down straight. Yeah. Well, I mean, here's a hard one. When you're putting this much force into a punt, right? Putting this much oomph into it, pretty hard to come down exactly straight. But you do have some of the same issues of what we just looked at with the previous punter, in the sense of watch your plant foot. So here I'm guessing we're trying to go a little bit more maybe directionally left, and look at that plant foot. Boom, you are right upright with that plant foot, you know, that's the direction that your leg is pulling you. So yeah, don't do that. A big part of it could be, so there's a couple things I'm noticing here, and all of these are going to play a factor, even though they might not make sense in this instance. But when you release this early, what's going to happen is your body automatically knows, like, okay, well, I just dropped the ball, you know, so it's time, we got to try to kick it somehow. So you're going to start swinging a little earlier. That can just cause some timing issues, which timing is everything with punting. So if you are dropping a little bit early, you know, you're right here trying to use more of a rotational swing to get around it instead of a natural straight up and down swing. So holding onto your drop, very important thing. A little bit earlier, and just that slight timing difference means you probably have to come around it a bit more. Biggest problem too, stepping left, trying to kick middle. If you're not trying to kick left, then this is probably a big issue for you. And the way that you're turning your hips back in makes me think that maybe you're trying to go a little bit more middle-y, which you can just let me know. But if you're trying to go middle, or if you're trying to go left here, then your drop's just probably a hair inside. Like right here, it looks like your drop is still trying to go sort of down the middle, and you're just stepping a little bit left. So just move your drop a hair more to the left if you're trying to go left. But if you're trying to go middle, really just emphasize your line on your first step. Work some line drills, slow your steps down, and focus more on just driving your body up through your plant as opposed to trying to rotate around to make contact. You know, like it's a big nothing burger sandwich I just said, but really emphasize plant, using your plant to pull your hips up through it. Should really help straighten out the swing. Focus on making contact a little bit lower too. Lock out lower, that'll really help. Yeah, you're locking out a smidge above knee height. It's gonna hurt you, and you can see that you're not really driving through your plant because your heel's already coming up right at the point of contact, even a little bit before. You can see a little heel lift. Just a good thing to keep an eye on. Next, Brennan Hanley. Going into your first year at LIU, congrats on making it to college. That's a battle not a lot of people do. Punting for about 3 years, going for consistency and shorter steps. Step length, let's see what we got going on here. Yeah, I mean, you're covering about, let's see, that's a good 4.5. Making contact at 5. Yep, that's a big danger zone right there. So I'm guessing we're going for a middle punt. See, look, these steps are a little bit, these steps are pretty good. As far as like looking at his plant foot there, I like this a lot. Pretty good little swing mechanics. Drop maybe a hair outside. Now I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest here, Brennan. I don't love how you hold the ball. I don't like the nose being outside of your palm like that. I think it makes it really inconsistent. If you could put that nose a little bit more into your palm, get a little bit better grip on the ball. If this is something you and your coach work on a lot though, and you guys like it, then I'm not gonna. Your drops are one of those things where whatever you're comfortable with. I mean, Ryan Stonehouse is one of the best punters in college football history while holding the ball beneath it. So, like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, you have to hold it a different way. I think this could lead to some consistency issues. But on top of that, for shorter steps, it looks like, honestly, like you're at 4.5. If we just need to get you back to 4, you just got to shorten up that jab. I think you can get by with a shorter jab. I really do. I also think that your right foot step is where it needs to be. Your left foot step doesn't look bad. Your left foot step looks very efficient. It's just like these 2 steps I think could be shorter. So look for areas to shorten up in your first 2 steps. Get more comfortable planting beneath you. This is kind of like a walking step here. You see how you're kind of like placing it with your heel first as you're taking your right foot step. I think you just go a little bit more on the ball of your foot. That'll help you plant about a ½ yard shorter, and it's going to make you a lot more powerful going into your other step. Just something to think about. I think that's a great area that you could see some improvement on, and it'll even make you a little bit more powerful. And yes, I mean, as far as consistency, drill work. Make sure you're working your hands. Going into college, that's gonna be the #1 thing your coaches are gonna be looking for, is for you to have like really clean hands. Catch 1,000 snaps a day if you can. Like get on the jugs machine, do whatever you can. You'll see your consistency just greatly improve. And then on top of that too, yeah, like I'm just looking, you're kind of catching wide palmed like this. Try to get your hands more beneath it and watch yourself just turn over every single ball in a set. I promise you, it seems dumb, but like the difference between catching like this and catching like this is gonna make a huge difference in your punting game. And then last but not least, we've got the man, my cousin, Sam Dubwig punts. Obviously I'm Isaac Punt, so if you're last name is Punts, we're related. Congrats. I know you didn't know that, but welcome to the family. So punting for about 3 years, which is ridiculous because I'm familiar with your game, Sam. My leg has seemed to max out at the 5.2 range. My distances seem to be able to push 70, but I haven't been able to reach a new level of punting in terms of hang time. So this is, it's a little bit of a humble brag on his part, right? But I get it. You want to keep pushing. You're trying to get to the next level as far as your hang times go. So we're going to see what we can do here for Sam. This is a very good contact point. I'm not going to lie. Right? The #1 thing, like I think if you're going for more hang time, one thing that you got to understand is you're not going to be getting the 70-yard punts if you're trying to break 5.4s consistently. I think you should mentally be aiming for, because once we're in levels like this, it's more of a mental battle than a physical one, is trying to hit a high 50-yarder. Should be what you're thinking about, because if you're like, oh, I'm trying to hit it as far and as high as I can, well, then 5.2 56 is a great place to be. I'm a guy, if I hit a 65-30, I'm like, that's a great ball. I've only broken both 5.5 and 55 plus. I could probably count the number of times I've done that on one hand. Realistically, I'm not the strongest punter out there, but like once you're thinking about consistently hitting 5.5 plus, it's just a lot of variables have to happen right at the exact same time. But if you want to hit, breaks through some barriers and try some new stuff and add some toolbox to your bags, the one thing I would suggest doing, right, is I can't tell how far out your arm is extended. So if you want swing advice, give me some side views. That'll really help. Just so I can see some stuff. But your arm looks decently extended. For more hang time, I would bring your arm in a little bit closer to you, so that way you can kind of get more under the ball, swing up through it, get some big hangs. So bringing it in a little bit closer, try moving it in about 2 inches. The next thing you want to do is you really want to, so you see right here, you're planting, and then your plant leg is just kind of staying, which is good. I don't mind that. That's great for like your everyday ball. You want to get a little bit deeper into your steps, a little bit more knee bend through your steps, so that way you can just explode up and through the ball. Like, you're already getting up through it pretty well, but starting off like a little bit lower, a little bit more chest bend, a little bit, like really getting over that ball, and then driving up through your plant foot while you're swinging is how you're going to start consistently breaking that 5-2 barrier. So a guy that does this really well, and a guy that I'll have you watch some tape of, is Brian Anger. Oh my gosh, half the Brian Anger videos are mine. So we're going to watch a little bit of Brian Anger tape on this, all right? So Brian is just like a stud when it comes to this type of hang time ball. Dang, I can't get a good... But look at how far over that he's getting with his chest. All right, boom. He's like over that ball. That just allows him to like explode and just jump up through it. Brian Anger, just the second time the Bears get a third down. Stud of a punter, right? Stud of a punter. Not trying to get copyright claimed. So that's like some good film that you can try to find. It's just some good Brian Anger film. But yeah, I would say the first thing is just get that thing a little closer to you. Get a little bit more over it with your first step. And then focus on just flipping your hips, getting beneath it, be patient, swing low, do everything else the same. And then, yeah, just think about kicking up to your right eye. And yeah, you'll see yourself break some new hang time records. So thank you everybody for coming along to the first Form Review Friday. As always, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next week.